for sure. He's
After Hedges, you say
as
Stefano's
far
an
as
influence?
I mean, yeah, of course, there's Don Ross and Preston Ray and Billy McLaughlin and Will Cocky and all those guys had a big part. Not like Hedges. Hedges was something else entirely. A dimension on his own.
That's something I'm going to want to talk about, obviously. You know that.
That's fine by me.
People who love
Yeah.
I first started taping him because I had a D28 at home, a year older than his, Barbara. And I thought if I videotaped him, I could take those videotapes home and watch what he's doing and learn how to do what he's doing. But I'm a rhythm guitar player. I sing and play guitar. There was no way. So dudes like you, I thought would never happen. Like nobody could ever play like this guy.
Yeah. So, very possible. That was the August Rush movie. That was weird.
So that's the other person that said, you go to Montreal, you have to meet with Erik Mongrain. Is Michael Galasian?
Yeah, Michael Galasian, I did one show with him, like, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. We kept arguing on who had the biggest of the nose, you know, like, he kept saying, my nose is bigger. I said, no way, dude. I even have the picture somewhere, us comparing our noses. It was pretty awesome. The guy's awesome. I love the guy. He's a fucking legend in my book. You know, I'm glad because I was fortunate enough over the years, especially back then, not so much nowadays because it has been or something, but back then, you know, like meeting Manring and Galasian, and I even talked with Stephen Miller at some point, but that guy was weird a little. Like almost everybody that was close enough to Hedges, like, sort of met or talked to. So it was like as close as it gets because I could never see the guy. I mean, I discovered him after he died. You know, like it was a few years after.
How?
It was too late. That's a long story.
I'm ready. I'm ready for a long story.
There's a lot of stories.
I mean, you know, the first word I got about you was a compliment from Jake saying, of all the people that were influenced by, I think he's the greatest I've heard yet.
Yeah, but I just do me, you know. But first,
and you do. I've been playing your channel on Spotify, and it's not all. I mean, I can hear influence in a lot of the tunes, but there's other tunes. When you mentioned Leo and you mentioned,
it's all there.
Is that
influence can, for me, it didn't matter in the end where influence, because like there's no way you can write music if you didn't listen. You have to.
Everything's coming from somewhere in the past.
There's no way. Like you can't just be, I'm a music like in this August Rush movie, which is part of why this movie is an atrocity. It's just the kid, you know, he's like 5-6 years old, and because his two parents are musicians and they had a kid during like this passionate moment, somehow he's like a mega prodigy. He comes out of the orphanage, you know, because he doesn't know who his parents are, and he just magically he can just like do music. Like he doesn't even know what whistling is. Like he sees a dude whistling in the streets. What are you doing with your mouth? Oh, it's music. And then he starts whistling, and he hears music and the electrical cables and shit. It's like, what the fuck is this? And then
but all of a sudden he's a fingerstyle prodigy.
Well, yeah, I know. So all of a sudden he goes into a church. Oh, I don't know what this is. It's an organ. It was a big ass organ in the church with all the pipes and stuff. So, I don't know what it is. He starts playing like it's fucking Mozart, like blah 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 blah. Yeah, it's easy. It's so easy. I don't know what this is.
So aren't you glad in the end that you didn't have to have your name associated with this? But
later in the movie, he goes into some attic and there's like an old guitar case, opens it up, and then since he doesn't know what this is, he does not pick the guitar and goes, well, I'm going to play guitar now. No, it just stays there, and then it's all dusty and whatnot, you know, like with the beam of light, super Hollywood style. And then he starts fiddling with the tuners, like he knows what the tuners are, you know, nobody, he just knows. Oh, yeah, this sounds good. And then he starts tapping, you know, like, oh yeah, this sounds good. He starts playing like me with the same angles of my like big video on YouTube from back then. It's like, And I was watching this is tragic. What the fuck is this heresy? I mean, I didn't care much about, oh, well, this is me playing, but it's not me. And so much as I cared for the fact that there is no way you write in like our prodigy to anything. You need to learn it somewhere, somehow, like in some form.
It doesn't just magically appear.
No, it doesn't just, I never did this, blah, 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 it's going to work out, everything's going to, I can sing too. Like, he was writing, notation, like super complex, like orchestras, like with drawings and whatnot. It made no sense at all. Like, this is not possible. And on top of it, they asked me, Hollywood, whatever the studio, asked me to go see Freddie Highmore, which is the kid, well, he's not a kid anymore, but he was the kid who played in the movie, right? And I had to go in some hotel in the old Montreal, because they were shooting something there, or he was around anyways. He said, can you go and show him how to fake play ritual dance? Because they're going to play that in the movie. So, well, sure, like, $100 to show up there. And I would try to show him, like, how to sort of mimic, like, of course, he was not listening at all. For an hour, he didn't listen to nothing. And well, I'm assuming, or if he was listening, it didn't look like he was listening. So maybe he was. Either way, that was just very strange experience, but okay. And then, but I was not aware. When I saw the movie, it's like, oh my God, what have they done to Ritual Dance? Not only is it not the same track, but Kek King is playing it, and it's like halfway through the song, which sort of sounds enough like the tune that we both love, that everybody loves, but there's like this whole percussion movement that makes absolutely no sense, like Khaki King style, I suppose. You can cut that out probably. It's just like, it's like how to butcher like a perfectly good song. You don't touch nothing. Like anybody that wants to play anything that has to do with Hedges, in my mind, it's like sacred territory. You don't fuck with this stuff. Like if you change anything, it better be like according to the guidelines of like sacredness or something. It was just wrong. It was wrong.
So
that's for the movie.
I heard maybe it was because her hands were smaller than yours, but you don't seem to have like giant hands.
I have girly hands. Look at that.
So you could have gotten away with. I mean, why you never got an answer? Why they decided to go with her?
Why didn't they just ask me? I would have played a perfectly good and not heretic version of Ritual Dance. It would have been fine. Like everybody knew at the time that I was probably the guy that was the most into like obsessed with Hedges. They asked me to teach the little dude how to fake play it, but not. They went with her. I don't know. Must be some reason that I will never know.
So this is a good segue, talking about how everybody's learned from somebody. When did you first start getting interested in music? Not just guitar, but music.
Music in general. I was when I was a kid, from like age 5 to 14. It's pretty accurate, actually. 5 to 14. All I was really interested in was books. I was good at school. I was like a nerdy kid.
Me too.
Good. Girls not into me at all. Like I was like that guy. But mainly hockey. This is Canada. So I was nuts about hockey. Any sport. I mean, sports is all I would do for the most part. But hockey was like the big thing. And of course, as you can see, I'm a tiny guy. That would never fly. I would get killed. Like my goal was to play in the NHL. That's never gonna happen. Be dead. Like even if I was like mega thick muscles, I'd still die. But so I made my peace with that really fast. But then again, I just liked sports, and I remember that one particular day, I came back home from just afternoon of hockey in the streets with guys, like a regular thing. And that I still remember sitting in what chair I was sitting with the old big cube TV, and just sat down, and I never really cared for music in general. My mom played music every night when we ate. It ranged from classical stuff to Genesis to Queen or just radio. Like any radio hit from the 90s or 80s or what. But they didn't really ring any bell.
Is that here in Montreal?
That was in Laval, so north of Montreal, the other smaller island. Definitely suburb stuff. I would never go back to suburbs either. But so anyway, so I kind of grew up in music, and she always said, her brothers, everybody in her family did music, so that's where it came from. If I was ever interested in music, but
when did guitar first come in?
Yeah, so from that age, that particular day I was saying, I came back from hockey. I was 14, and sat down, turned on the TV. I was eating something, I forget, and it was Much Music was on, which I never turned out. Let's watch Much Music for some video clips. That didn't happen, But that day it was just on, and as it turned on, Nirvana's Heart Shaped Box was playing, which was from their third album, In Utero.
Great too.
And I had no idea what that was, And I remember being frozen. I was frozen in front of the TV listening to this and these images.
The unplugged version or the album version?
It was the official video clip, not the unplugged version, like the actual. That was before the unplugged even. Like the unplugged, I ate it up. But it was something. It was definitely all right. It's time to turn on the fire. And it was like it's cranked up. Like it span at 3 minutes. My whole life changed. Like I started dressing differently the next day, and it was basically during the. I'm sure you remember the Colombian music era where, here, order 12 tapes, we will give them to you free. All you need to do is order more tapes that you buy later. Nobody bought these tapes. You just ordered free music, pretty much, is what everybody did, right? They would send you these red letters, like, you gotta order, we're going bankrupt. So, sure enough, they went bankrupt. So I ordered all the tapes, And that really, music is like, okay, I'm into this. Like the whole rage, I guess I was pissed. I didn't know it yet or something. Like it just woke up a whole lot of beasts.
Grunge spoke
from
to you.
Within. Oh yeah, like hard. And from that point, all I could think is I need to do what he's doing. Like this guitar stuff, it looks fun. I mean, I played some guitar like in 2 or 3 years before that in preliminary school, where they just feed you like it's mainly flutes, like plastic flutes. But we had 4 classical guitars, and I picked one at random. Okay, well I guess I'm playing guitar this year. But it was like
that was at school.
Yeah, that was it. And it was so boring. I hated it. I hated every second of it. It was like, this is not for me. I don't like playing guitar. This sucks, And but then Nirvana came along, grunge music came along, and then all the, you name them, all the bands in the 90s came along, and oh my God, Pearl Jam, Collective Soul, Soundgarden, and I was going insane. I had no guitar. My uncle, at Christmas, he had this old crappy, very crappy, classical orange guitar. It was a Goya. I've never seen that brand in my life afterwards. And I said, yeah, you can have it. I give it to you. He had another one. So I said, oh my God, I'm so going to learn on this. Sure enough, for a year, I grinded that thing.
Nylon string.
Nylon string. Dude, I was playing with pennies if I didn't have a pick. I would play with anything. It's all I did, like 12 hours. You go to school, you come back, you play. I would learn. It took me about 2 months, and I was already playing all these tunes, all the Nirvana stuff, the grunge stuff. Well, this is not enough. Like, is this all there is to it? I remember sitting in my room at that point. It's like, is this it? Like,
how are you figuring out chording?
Oh, well, I just, the good old ghetto blaster with the tapes, just like, rewind, just picked it up right here.
Right, but did you have a book that said this is a G chord or this is an E chord?
There was none of that. I mean, you had orders that with credit cards if you wanted to. I had no idea it even existed, so I just played it. So, oh, well, it's going to be like that. I mean, my uncle showed me like a few basic chords, but I had no no idea.
And so then you just, in
I just
terms of
picked it up.
learning Nirvana,
It was on my own. Everything was on my own. It's always been like that. Nowadays you have internet, free lessons of everything.
Right.
It's all there. I had no videos. I had nothing. So I just learned it up. I just play, rewind, eat the tape, and when the tape's done, you get a new one, you make copies.
It's not the first time that I've heard of people who are interested in, not in metal, but in, grunge and Rage Against the Machine, a powerful rock and roll, that there would be an epiphany at some point, and Hedges, and there'd be like this cross the bridge, because this guy brings both. He brings this beautiful guitar thing, a lot, heavy mental. He was not, like New Age was not something he wanted to be called.
But Hedges was still way far. At that point in my life, it was just grunge. And after a year, I can pinpoint every moment that I really learned that one song that opened so many gates. Like when I started learning Metallica and stuff, the acoustic versions. Sure, I played the metal, sure, I did that too. But I was more into when they play acoustic, it's just so different. Like, what is this? That was like my first. Oh, I'm into that, like softer finger style sort of thing, Sure, I like rhythm. I was the guy who would play rhythm, and the other dudes would play the leads. I never cared for leads more. Like it was not for me. It was the rhythm guy. Red Hot Chili Pepper and Breaking the Girl. Oh, that's so awesome. The Tea Party, the 12-string stuff. That was my first open tuning experience with Soundgarden. All these bands from the 90s, some of them had, Soundgarden had many weird tuning, but the Tea Party, Open Sea was, I think, my first big actual tuning. And then, Dad got some, but I had no idea there was a world of Don Ross and whatnot. I remember this one day, I must have been 16, 17. I was
You just mentioned, you just flew by Dad Gab.
Yeah.
Did you say you used it some, or?
I only wrote one piece in Dad Gab. It's a fair tuning, it's very balanced, but I find it exceedingly boring. I get bored fast of one particular texture color.
I have a French friend that plays everything, I think, in Dad Gab.
Yeah, Pierre is awesome. I'm not gonna, if whatever works, like if it works for him, that's, he doesn't make it sound like Dad Gab either, so there are ways.
That was like the only tuning I ever did, was that Neil tune.
Before we keep going, I have to ask, so because I know your name because when YouTube came out, all these awesome videos of, who is this guy? Randy Lutke? I don't know if I'm pronouncing it. Luigi, okay. So, who is this guy? You came up with all these unique, like nobody's seen any of these. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, you just show up at all of his shows and shot everything, and then you became friends, or how did it happen?
No, I'm glad you asked.
I mean, I have to know.
Okay,
I don't get it. Like, it's just so unique.
So 1970, I started going to University of California, Berkeley, and every summer I was going to Europe. 72, I took my guitar with me, and I was playing like with a lot of local people in tourist towns, just playing for them after they'd get off work. Next summer, I went with two classmates from Cal called Montana. We played a lot in Amsterdam, and I brought home as much money as I took. So we were playing in the streets, we were busking, we were playing clubs. We played Paradiso. Do you know it? And then I started working at this place. My dad rented a 1927 historical landmark theater in Palo Alto, where Stanford is, called the Varsity Theater.
Oh.
And he renamed it the New Varsity Theater Restaurant Bar. So we had a 100-seat restaurant out in the patio or inside the lobby, and an 800-seat movie theater. So he said, come start booking music. So, I lost a bunch of money on Journey and Pablo Cruz. I did them down to Stanford. One day in 1980, I'm sitting in the lobby with my friend Steve Marcus, who used to be the head of the Grateful Dead ticket sales, which neither here nor there, but good guy. And there's a guy walking down the courtyard. He's got really long hair, and I said, and he's holding the guitar. I said, he's going to come through the door and say that he plays Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Watch. Michael comes to the door and he opens it and says, I hear this is the place to play in Palo Alto. And I said, yeah, what do you do? And he says, well, I play some Neil Young. And I said, did I call that or what? Directly to Steve. And Michael goes, well, what do you want me to sound like? And I said, well, if you said you sounded like Alex Degrassi or Will Ackerman, I might be interested. So rather than just pull Barbara out and knock me over, he goes home and he records Silent Anticipations on a cassette and brings it back to me the next day. He goes, okay, here, I'll sound like Alex Degrassi. And so I thought, well, this is pretty pretentious of this guy to think he can sound like, he can just go home and make a tape and sound like Alex Degrassi. So I'm going to put it on while he's here.
Yeah,
the rest is history. I was blown away. Yeah. I shut the fuck up.
So I don't know what to say. What do you say to that?
I told. So I was blown away by it, and I said, the place is yours, and you can play anytime you want. I'll show you on my iPad him telling this story at a concert later that I shot in '93 at Montalvo, but he says, well, that night he gave me a free movie pass to go see movies whenever I wanted, and I got a free dinner each time I played, and he paid me too, he says, and so, but it was, it was all into the guitar case for a while. And then we started having the waitresses insist that people, so he'd pass the hat and it's like, you have to at least put $2 in. So he was making a couple $100 a night. But Manring, he and Manring had gotten together in Baltimore previously. And then he brought Manring out 81 or 82. I was asking Michael which date he thought it might have been. And so I got to get, really early. I think the guy's the greatest bass player I've ever seen.
Well, in my opinion as well. It's not even close. I don't qualify technique as being sufficient for my greatness, greater. He's the most
interesting.
Uniqueness is.
Somebody said, "What about Stanley Clarke?" I'm like, "No, this is like another."
There's a lot of machines out there. But Michael does it in a way that's just different. Creativity is worth so much more points in my book than how fast or precise you can play.
Right. And with
music
feeling,
content.
It's the composition, right?
The writing. Oh yeah, I mean the music.
Yeah, your stuff's beautiful, man. Jake sent me a whole Spotify list of your stuff, and I listened to it, and I said, "Oh man, now I know what he's talking about." I hear my friend running through this. It's very original,
he's been very
but I can hear him in there. So get to the part of the story where you get to meet him. I told you when I do. One last story. One day he called me and he said, "Randy, Leo Kocky's at my house and he's never heard me play. Can you bring over a videotape?" It's 10 o'clock at night. Sure. I live close by in Palo Alto. I got on my bike. I took a video over. He's got a video machine at his house. Leo Kocky's there. He's at his house, Michael Hedges' house. What has to be in that house? And he asked me to bring over a videotape. And he plays a video for Leo first. So
grunge music, Metallica, all that stuff, and then I was getting more interested in, as I was getting nearer to 17, 18, I was definitely less and less into aggressive music or any form of that. And I remember in high school it was this, I had that in high school, grade 4 and 5, but I didn't care for it. It was too easy already for me. I didn't want to study. I didn't want to read music. I didn't care about it. I was just a bum. We actually smoked dope in the cubicle instead of playing music. It was playing Metallica instead of what we're supposed to do. It was fun. I don't regret a second of it for sure. But
in my life.
That being said, I remember there was this chick from the advanced version of guitar music at the school that played Fantasy from Sylvius Leopold Weiss. Sylvius Leopold Weiss. I think it's Weiss. It's a classical composer, Baroque, way back, and she played that and just okay. That opened definitely a new thing. It was okay. I need to play this, so I learned it on my own again, and that was okay. So I like to use all of these guys if I can, but that was still not enough. So I went out, and that's when I moved from my mom's, and it was 17. I just moved out, and I spent all my days pretty much sitting down and deciphering. Because I didn't know, I wanted to learn classical guitar, but I had nothing to do so again. So I went to a music store, and they had a book called Low 10 Music. It was all in German, the explanation of the standard notation, everything was in German, but all the back stuff was in there, Bach, it was all in there. Okay, so this is all here. And I had the music from, I think it's John Williams playing all those tracks on a crackling tape from a vinyl I had or something. It was terrible, but the music was there, So I had John Williams and I had a book in German. I didn't know how to read music. I had no idea, so I just opened it. I was like, well, I know this is a G staff, and this is a G, so this is a G. And this is, so I made it out, and I started learning music slowly. And after a couple of weeks, I could read on sight and say, okay, well, I know I'm gonna forget about all of this eventually, so I'll just tab everything up. So I just tabbed everything. Sure enough, I did good because I don't read music anymore. But I just learned it, and then I forgot about it because I moved on. For a good year, it's pretty much all I played. A lot of classical stuff on electric guitar.
Hedges was studying classical in college.
I know he studied composition at the university, but classical, I'm not sure if I
a whole year or something of just classical in Baltimore.
Well, I did that, but on my own, with nobody telling me if what I was doing was right. But I adopted a proper position. Everything, I kind of learned it proper enough, I suppose, because it worked. But still, and at that time, I was busking in the subways in Montreal. I needed to make some sort of a living. Would wake up at 4 in the morning, take 2 hours of transit, and then spend all my days in the subways. Try to make a buck, and then I would go out at night 6, and I would stay inside the subways. If you go out, you had to repay to get in. I didn't have the money, so I just stuck for all winter. I didn't see the sun. I was 17, but I didn't care because I was so obsessed with the music. And this one time, what opened really the whole acoustic stuff is I saw there was this guy, this South American guy, and he would play sometimes. He was also a busker, and Eduardo was his name. I remember that. He was playing in standard tuning on a classical nylon, but with a pick. And he was playing this. I still remember some of the chords. This fucking song. It was a mix. It was new age flamenco stuff. I never heard anything like it. It was mesmerizing. I didn't know. It was too much information for me. My God, I need to know what this is. So I spoke with him and showed me a few things. But then I figured, I need to play acoustic now. He was playing it on nylon, but nylon was not for me. And electric, I was done with that. So I picked up.
Have you played some electric?
Oh yeah.
I mean, the grunge period is electric guitar.
Yeah, I played mainly electric and classical crappy
So
guitar.
somewhere along the line,
like
you
pretty
got
much,
an electric
yeah,
guitar.
I was the guy that, you go to a party, there's a guitar, you lost me. Like I was on the guitar for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And then the party would revolve around where the guitar is pretty often, but I would not budge. I was just too stoned anyway. And it was, it was great. I don't miss it, but I don't regret any of it either.
No, me either. We did. That's how we got going. Was to play parties in Berkeley.
Yeah.
We were playing for people, but
So, in the end, this guy really opened something up, and then the acoustic was where I needed to get into. I needed to get
Steel
into
string.
that. Yeah, steel string. Like I bought a crappy Ibanez. I don't know why I bought that. I got rid of it really fast. Like a few months after, I think I bought a Yamaha, and that was the big first acoustic guitar. It was a Yamaha APX 12 strings. I don't know why I wanted to play 12 strings, but it was a nightmare. But I still learned a lot of stuff on that. So that guitar.
influenced by Leo with the 12. Or?
I'm not sure. I mean, soon enough, the 12 string was this is a pain in the ass to tune. I mean, I'm not doing this anymore. But it had, you can just put 6, and that's what I did eventually. But somewhere in that, this is very foggy years, like 17, 18, 19. I'm not sure exactly when it's what, but I remember at some point I went to, like a disc store, a CD store. It's called the Archambault. It's like the equivalent of your, in the US, what was the big CD store?
Tower Records.
Yeah,
or...
something like that. So I get in there. I was looking at the acoustic new age instrumental stuff, right? And I see this thing called Masters of Acoustic Guitar. I say, okay, I don't know what you need these guys. Let's bring this out. I play this. Listen to a lot of it. It was a lot of guys on like D.R. Auden, Donna Ross, all the Grassy, Will Ackerman. They were good, but Donna Ross like had some things. I like this Donna Ross guy. Like, who is this guy? It rings. It speaks to me. Like, I go back and I check for his stuff, and sure enough, it was like a couple, like Bearing Straight. I think it was all there up to Passion Session, or maybe not Passion Session. Anyway, I bought 3, still have them.
Calum's big, Don Ross guy. He loves Don Ross.
I mean, yeah.
They've recorded together.
I mean, I'm sure. Don is awesome. He's an awesome guy. First album was, it was like a revolution in my brain at that point. Like, oh my God, what is this? I couldn't, like the first couple of times I listened to it, like I couldn't understand what was going on so much. It was just so new, so different, so abrasive, so like, he's wrecking those strings, dude. What is he doing? How does he do this? And I just tried to learn it on my own, like slowly. It's like, this is not easy. And then I found his book, like there was the answer book that he wrote himself, by hand. So I ordered that with my mom's credit card. Oh my God, to the phone, And then I found through Don Ross, I found Billy McLaughlin. But Billy, there's only like 2 or 3 songs I really liked, and it's the double tapping stuff that he did. That somehow he managed to relearn the other way after he got through his I forgot the name, but he had an actual illness. He couldn't play, so he just relearned everything the other way, which is insane. Like props, like this has got to be a nightmare. But he had good stuff, like a song like Helm's Place, South by Winter West, Clock Shot. Those are the 3 that I actually learned, but I also had to order through John Stropes for those. John Stropes to the phone. I had the tabs shipped to me, and then I still didn't know how.
As he hustled
like this. So I learned double tapping and hammering slowly. Don Ross was more like the finger pick, and he said, I play with, like these finger picks and stuff. Like it was some instructions and how he did, but I don't like these things. So I was playing it, like by my own way.
Your fingernails say you are still playing often.
I would need to not like to have an actual different career completely. Like, all right, my job now is this, to cut these guys off, because they've been on since I was like 16. It's gonna feel weird if I get to that point, but you know.
At any rate, you're on Don Ross.
Yeah, so Don Ross, he Billy McLaughlin, and then I discovered Lil Kottke some, you know, by the same vein.
Approximately what year is this?
This is like 98-ish, and fast forward a little, like eventually I'm downtown here in Montreal, and La Montagne, the Montreal, every Sunday, I think it's still going, I'm not sure, I haven't been in many years, but every Sunday there's like, everybody goes on the mountain, and there's like percussions and people dancing and shit, you know, hippie stuff. So we all went there, you know, every Sunday, and I went because it was very close to where from where I live. So, and back then I would go to the corner store, I would strap my guitar and go to the corner store, I would buy cigarettes with my guitar on, I would go everywhere. It doesn't matter, I made my groceries with the guitar on, like it didn't matter, it was just on, you know. And I was going there, practicing some Don Ross, I forget, Afraid to Dance or something like that, or The First Ride, one of these two. I play a lot of his stuff. And then I hear this guy running behind me, he's like, dude. And he stops me. He starts talking about Don Ross, like, oh, so you know him too? I thought I was like the only guy out there who knew him. Like, I didn't know, you know, it seems so niche or something. Oh,
and he recognized that you were playing Don Ross.
Oh yeah, you recognize the tunes. Oh yeah, I know this song. You're like, Don Ross, the magician. But do you know Michael Hedges? I don't know. No, I don't. Who is that? Who is that? Fucking. And he loaned me this tape called Aerial Boundaries, the actual tape, you know, like not fucking like the tape. And it's okay. Bring it back to me. It's okay, sure. I didn't listen to it right away for some unknown reason. Fuck's wrong with me? But I just didn't. And then I went out to a used CD store shortly after. Maybe it's because it was a tape or like Aerial Boundaries. It looked crummy.
It's hard to see the
fucking stupid.
It's hard to see the personal notes on that too, which is important on that album. And
then I go to that used store, which, you know, there was so many of them back then. You remember that old CD store where you put the headphones and listen to anything for hours, and the guy didn't care? That was that. I sit down and said, "Do you have anything by Michael Hedges?" I said, "Yeah, I think I have one." Yeah, I pick it up. I said, "Oh, the Oracle. Looks." It spoke to me more. I guess it's judged by the cover. I was dumb. I don't know. But it's okay.
Oh, that's when he was designing his covers and not Ann Ackerman.
Maybe, but this one I remember playing in the store directly, right there in front. The dude was right there. Put the headphone, I pressed play. And then the second law starts playing, right? I shit you not. I was crying after 20 seconds in the store, right there. It was too much information, too much. It's as if, sorry to explain. It's a very unique moment of my life that, and it's not something that everybody knows, or I don't care if people know either. It's a very private moment in my life that I just felt like as if I was just bathed by light or something. Like it's a fucking divine presence that just landed on top of me. The music, this so simple introduction, you know. It was direct, like straight into my veins. It was like as if I was supposed to write this, but he wrote it. It's as if it was me, but it's not me. I'm not explaining it right, but it's beyond jealousy at that point. You know, it's beyond admiration. It's beyond. It's like music I heard in my dreams somewhere, or from the future or the past, or it was so intense. And I was like, my God, this can't be real. What is this? This guy, and the whole album was.
Well, you said the tune was the Second Law. What are some of the other tunes on
the Second Law? Starts, it starts with the Second Law, but it's Bel Shuva, Sofa number 1 from Zappa that he plays Magic, Ignition.
Have you ever seen a video of him playing Sofa?
That's Ignition, Bel Shuva.
Is that Alex's song? Bel Shuva was originally a song that he wrote in the style of Alex Degrassi.
It don't sound anything like
Will didn't want to have it on the first album because he thought it was too derivative. It was Bel Shuva.
That song was it still is one of the only tunes I've ever heard made for guitar that I don't understand. Like, how do you build this? How do you go about building this? I tried many times to build in the same sort of mindset or frame these very solo arpeggios that are not exactly arpeggios. It's a mystery.
So
I cannot figure it out.
Listening to
that album made me, okay, well, we're gonna listen to these real batteries now. And I thought, the Oracle was something, right?
Then you were ready for Ariel.
I mean, I said, well, might as well listen. I mean, this could be good, as good as this. There's no way it's as good, And then, this boom, boom, boom. I wanted to throw myself down the bridge, dude. He was like, who is this guy? What the fuck is this? It was even better. It's older stuff, and it was even better. Like, how is this possible? This guy was writing this stuff when Thriller was a thing. Like, how many years ahead was he? This make no sense. Like, what the fuck? Like, did he listen to I mean, I know what he liked, but this is just in that era. Like, none of us has managed to write anything even close to Aerial Boundaries to this day. That particular song, it's a mystery. I mean, to me, even if Pinot is probably the closest that could explain it to all of us, or play it right, if you could still play. If he had a problem, I guess he probably couldn't do it anymore. But that song has something that nothing else out there will ever probably have. It's like a mathematical perfection. It's music, the build up. Like, it has so many layers. It's insanely hard to play. You name it. Like, it has everything.
Andy talks about how difficult the middle part is, or something.
It's absurd. It's absurd. And not only this, but as far as I'm concerned, Pinot might have been the only guy that could play it like Michael played it, which is with the string stopping, proper string stopping, exactly like he did. That's insane. I could not do it. I could play it very well my own way. But like that, with the exact string stuff, it's absurd.
So
it's very
you
hard.
Talk about, the first time you heard the tune from Oracle.
The Second Law was
Second Law.
King.
I'm in Lake Tahoe with Michael and Mindy, and I'm with my ex-wife. We're on the 6th floor of the hotel. 9 o'clock in the morning, there's a knock on the door. It's Michael, and he apologizes for the early, wake-up call. Back in the days, we slept in a little longer. And he says, I've been finishing this tune, and you got to hear it, And it was Rickover's Dream. Mm-hmm. When he finally figured that he had it down. And then he talked to me about, Admiral Rickover for much of the day, and and you could definitely feel the submarine go down in that tune. But that was
song.
special.
Every single song on that album had a dramatic impact on everything I wrote afterwards. Like, I played all of them. I learned all of them. I at that point I bought the book, from Strokes.
Right, somebody sent it to me.
The Rhythm, Sonority, and Silence,
yeah.
which I still possess.
But you don't read music. But these are tabs. Tabs are different.
Tabs are fine, but music. There was a time where I did read it, and then I stopped
because
I guess I didn't see a point. I would never. I'm not like the guy who just sits and reads and plays somebody else's. I wanted to write.
So you said that this was hard. That it really influenced your writing. What's beautiful about your music is that one can feel that influence, but it is absolutely original.
Well, my goal at that point. So that now we're going to this like 24 years old slice of my life where all I did, and legit all I did, was learn every song Hedges played. Like all of them. I played all of them. And then Don Ross a whole lot too. Preston Reed some, you name it. But Hedges, I played all of his stuff thoroughly. And then I would busk, to make a living. I would play all this stuff out there. I would just play it.
That Hedges influenced your writing, and that is something one can definitely hear, but you've also made it your own. You made it very original.
From age 20, 24, like I was saying, I was just learning all this stuff. I would gobble it up. It was just, and all these, like Don and Leo and all the other guys, they all had very good songs, and I'm grateful I discovered them at that point in my life. Meanwhile, Hedges, every song was a new world. It was entirely different. I couldn't play any of them. It's like, okay, I learned this one, this other one I can't play. This one is not picking, it's not tapping, it's not that. It's this mixed with that, mixed with that. Oh my God. So, I guess his way of fusioning his ideas, he had no limit. He just got bored like I did. I guess of one thing is you had to switch it up. So when he started singing at some point, or just strumming simple things, like he went from very simple songs like Let Me Know, which is super slow arpeggios, to silent anticipation stuff, to nothing was even remotely close to the previous song. Like, how did he do it? What is this? It was just, it seemed...
He was special.
Well, it was very major for me. Like, this whole couple of years, and my ultimate goal was to write things. And I did write some tunes before that or during, but it was all very windy, very unclear, like a structure somewhere. Too many ideas crammed into a box.
Before you heard Hedges, or?
During, before, all those, like, between age 18, 24, it was a whole bunch of, I was already trying to write things, and I thought it made sense, and now I still have one of those tapes somewhere, and I'm like that tape. It's a joke. Like, I listen to this stuff and say, oh my God, what is this? Makes no sense at all. And I thought it made sense. It made no sense. That was prior to the big few years of learning. So I just crammed. I couldn't write. I was never satisfied with whatever I wrote. It was just, it just sounds like that, or like this, or it doesn't sound like, it doesn't feel like me. It just sounds like I'm trying to reproduce what I'm hearing, right? And at some point, after all those years of packing new tools in my toolbox, it just started coming out very, very clearly, and it was low effort. Like, it was just, all right, now it's time to like press the, let's record, let's create. And then I wrote most of my first album, Fates.
Who's doing your animation? Who's doing your album cover stuff?
It's my brother.
That art is fucking bitchin', man. Yeah. I really like that.
My older brother is it's like my mom gave birth to 3 sons, and like one of which is the music guy, one of which is the visual guy, the third one is the physical guy. He did a lot of contemporary dance and whatnot, but he's strong. Like, so art is not really his cup of tea, but he had it for a couple of years. So for many years it was just, well, we have music, dance, and it was just, and I cannot draw for shit, and my older brother cannot. He's not into music at all. Nothing like music. Like we just really siphoned everything. Like so yeah. For the covers, it was very clear. Like my first cover, the bishop that's kind of moving along a path that was me. You know, I had like a clear vision of the image I wanted. I told him draw this, and then he did. And the second time through, for Equilibrium, I just left him a little bit of a leeway.
I think that's the one maybe that they were playing.
It's like there's a big tree, and the reflection is not exactly a tree, but and then the third one is forward, is like just a rocky. I went for more texture. It was like a rocky texture with a forward sign. And my new one is Little Tempo, new one 2 years ago. But that one, I just told him, right, do what you want. I have no idea what the cover is.
So did you release something just 2 years ago?
No, Tempo.
So what is this thing that you have in the bag with Stefano?
That's a different thing. So I recorded Tempo with Stefano 2 years ago.
I mean, because he couldn't praise it enough.
On age 24, I started composing the Fate stuff, and I barely learned any songs from anybody after that. I would just write. I just wanted to write and try different things, and every song was, like, that's the biggest thing that Hedges did for me is, even in his book, he kept saying, so long as you only use, technique as a tool, it's not the music. It doesn't matter what you use, so long as it's the music that counts. It's all about the music. And if you get bored of one thing, you just switch it up. You just don't, like, the way you approach music was such oh, I'm gonna try this. Oh, I'm gonna try that. Oh, this sounds cool. And it never sounds the same. Not one album sounds the same. Not one song sounds the same. They have specific color to them, but it's still amazing that it was the only one that nothing was even close to the previous tune, and that was like the big thing, because I would just get bored of one technique or one tuning or one rhythm or any of that. I needed to change all the time.
And he started coming
Madrid
up.
Song is
That's one. It's long and it's beautiful.
It's my second favorite tune ever, probably for guitar.
And he's great. So I meet with him and we have this hour-long conversation. He can go off forever, and he's really good.
Passionate.
And did we get to hear him play anything? No, he played us instead. So, if you get bored, change it up. Stefano has definitely changed it up.
He's that guy. I admire him for all this stuff, like this Jew thing. I mean, I saw it from his infantile form, like when he said, "Oh, I have no idea. Look at this." It was like a plank, like it was so crummy, but I couldn't understand what it was. They were like, explain to me what this is. They explained to me, and then I saw like video, and then I saw the whole thing grow. I was like, oh my god, this guy's gonna, like, I hope it really works for him. But I mean, we've been meaning to talk since June. Last we spoke with him in June, he said, I'm gonna call you real soon. What we started doing, this project we got, is basically a bunch of our songs that we already wrote, but reworked for a fusion of electronics, which is mainly what he does musically now, with the guitar. And we basically worked for like a month or two, and it's like still it's like at 80% of what it could be, like the ideas anyway, the whole and I think it's fucking awesome, but
it's not an easy combination to start
no,
bringing
it's not.
electronics
we're making it work. It's an odyssey, but let's just say the short version of it, I suppose, would be that when YouTube came out, we put this video out there. I was on a TV show, here in Quebec, and we put the lap tapping stuff out there. didn't even know what YouTube was. You know, I just told my managers back then, you heard about this YouTube thing? So, yeah, I already put the videos, okay. And then, you know, like a week after, it was like 1 million hits. Like, what is this? Like, okay, then what? Like, but then people started calling. You know, people started writing. Like, oh, we want to book this guy. Okay. And then at the same time, like back then, you take acoustic guitars, you would have two results. Like it'd be me and Andy, or Andy and me. Like in front page, it was just this big song, the big hit. I'm seeing now.
Andy McKee's.
Yeah, it's his first hit. Not Ryland. Is this Ryland?
That's one of his boys' names. I forget. Yeah. I only got to know him.
Well, that first hit of his from Art of Motion was the album anyway, and it was me. So we both got like exponential amount of views and exposure all of a sudden, which was good. The difference between Andy and me, I assume. I mean, I never really talked that much to him. A little. He was a great guy, but I never really spent time. Is that I guess he was ready for that. I was not ready for that. I mean, I knew I wanted to do gigs and stuff, but personally, I mean, what I wanted to do is write music. I mean, I didn't care about anything else.
If I hadn't been doing
my managers did all that, so I could just kind of practice and write stuff. But then, when you're on the road, these crummy motels, eating crap, and all this. And you get to a venue and it's not at all what was promised, just like these crummy speakers, and then in half the time you get the right gear, and a quarter of the time you have the right sound, and like 1/10 of like one shot out of 20, you're like, you came out and say, oh yeah, I'm satisfied with how it was and how I played. I was just, it was very hard for me, and I was always solo, right? It was always just me, or almost. I was never double bills or triple bills or nothing. Then Candy Rat, the label came out, and they all got signed to that. Right? All of it. I mean, Andy, Antoine Dufour, I mean, all the dudes back then, they all signed Candy Rat. Even Stefano, I think, signed with them at some point. But Stefano was over there in Italy, and the rest of us were mainly from America.
Did you sign with Candy Rat?
Well, that's the thing. I could have. But then I remember my manager, Ben, said, which also my best friend, he was looking at this contract, right? He said, well, I don't see what he's going to bring to you. All he's going to do is take like 40% of your stuff for what? We can do this on our own. Okay. I was trusting him, and I don't regret doing that either. It's just, at that point, every year that passed, I was like, into my 30s, I would see these guys like Andy, Antoine. They would always do these big tours together, you know, like as a separate, like triple bills, double bills, or like not a band, but they would all play together. So, well, we must be friends by now, right? I was always feel like I was a black sheep or something, like the guy that doesn't belong to a clique of dudes. That kind of sucked in a way. I don't blame anybody but me, I suppose, you know. But I never got around sharing this with anybody, any other guitar player. My manager was always there with me. He's a great guy. It's not the same as talking to a guy like Antoine or Andy, like that do the same thing that you do. You share it on stage. I didn't have that. I don't know what that is much, you know. For many years, it was just me. And then personally, after like 50, 70 shows in 1 year, I couldn't do more. For me, it was just, wow, where the fuck am I supposed to write music? If half the time I'm practicing for the next tour, or trying to half write a song that I can't finish, because I write slow. Like, it takes me weeks, months to do one tune, right? I'm not fast at all. So like, I can't do this anymore. Early 30s, like 32, 4, I was like, this is not my life. There's no way I'm gonna do jet lag in airports shorts and non-stop with just me on stage with all the pressure. That's not happening. So I try to find some double bills like everybody seemed to have, but me, I just couldn't do it. Like my wave was already crashed. You know, I didn't ride the wave enough. Like Andy rode it super hard, and I'm happy for him. You know, like he had it in him. His money might just be made. Like I know that Sony came to me when I was like 28. We went to New York. I played in their tower thing when they just sit you in a very stressful fucking room and you could play for a bunch of Thais. It's so fucked. I was like, what is this place? And they wanted to sign for like 250K, like for starters. And like you get, I think they wanted to turn me to the next Justin King or something. I had no clue. But then my managers, my friends, they weren't doing it for the money. Like they had some money into it, but we're just friends and they wanted to help. They wanted to be there. So to me, like my decision at that time was, all right, choose the money or choose freedom. My friends, money was never important to me all that much. Like so long as I could, my only goal was ever to just write music and have enough to pay the food.
And so is that how your life is now? Well,
from that point, like for many years it was fine, and then social media kicked in, and then you know, like, that was like 10 years ago where it really fucking kicked in, and then I saw all these other dudes were like pumping videos out like every month. I was like, oh my god! And then you had to be interesting all the time in the media, so you had to like keep hooks. And my managers couldn't keep doing this anymore because there was not enough money, and they had a house that. So they went into a business of drones, which is working very well for them. So I'm very happy about that. But all right, well, fuck, I don't want managers. I don't need managers because I'm not gonna do much shows anymore anyway. So I turned into like more trying to teach, streaming a little, and all those things, and plus the royalties that were coming in every month. You know, like I had just enough for necessities. You know, 30, 40 minutes on stage shared with somebody else is doable. Right. You know, I did a show for the first time, my first show in 10 years with Antoine Dufour last summer. It was fun. I had a lot of fun. Antoine Dufour and Samuel Pelletier. And I told Antoine, dude, like, you know, we've been living in Quebec for all this time and never fucking did anything together. What's wrong with us? And I thought we meshed well on stage, even though I was pretty stressed the fuck out for the first tune or two, but settled down after that, and I was just having fun, you know, which is why, main reason why we do this in the first place. Money is okay, but I don't care enough about money. Yeah. Otherwise, if I cared about money, I would have signed with Sony. I'd be a millionaire today. I'd be fucking sad and depressed, probably.
I mean, are you still going to create music? Are you still going to do fingerstyle? You know,
I'm finishing a song right now, but it's like my last album, Tempo. Or like even my third album, Forward, it was 10 years ago. Released it. We did promotion and stuff. It didn't sell at all. Nobody streamed it. Okay, well, fuck this. So I figured my next album, if I ever do one, which happened in the form of Tempo, I figured if I ever record something else, it'll be for me. It's not gonna be for. I'm not gonna try to market it. I'm not gonna try to, which is why almost nobody knows except my very avid fans know that Tempo came out. The rest of the world just doesn't know because I don't.
Having heard your music, I find that kind of sad because you're an excellent
for me.
talent.
You know, like it was a me thing. I wanted this music to come out of my head into a digital format. I wrote the tabs, and I was done with it.
Can you hold your guitar and talk to me more?
Sure. This is a Sheldon Schwartz guitar. It's a luthier from Ontario. He's the most awesome shaman you've ever seen. He actually looks like a shaman or something. Well, he cut his hair now.
Cool.
So not so much. You would get along with the guy perfectly. You kind of have the same sort of vibe, you know, like gray hair, sort of like very relaxed.
Old man.
I mean, this guy is awesome. Sheldon has been. This is my third guitar from him. I sold the other ones, but every couple of years I'm like. So this one was a trap. He tricked me because I've known him for like 15 years, and after this, my second guitar was like a Sitka Berkeley top, which was awesome. It was very good. But at some point, he found me, said, "Hey Erik, I'm in California at this convention, the luthier convention, and they have this Adirondack set, planks, and it's my favorite wood for tops, right?" And he never in his career, in his 30 or so years of making guitars, or more even, I think, he never found a Adirondack that was good enough to make a guitar with. It was just nah. I mean, maybe one day he kept saying, if I ever find a set, maybe. And he calls me and said, "I found a set." Oh, dude, get out of here. Like, I don't have the money to get a new guitar from you. And then again, he always charges me like less, way less. So I'm happy with that. It's just, every time I need to, he just didn't give me a choice. I had to sell the one I currently had to be able to afford the new one. So this is the one.
It sounds beautiful.
I've had this one for many years now, but it's as close as perfection for me as it gets.
Let me get this other microphone.
We just got along very fast. I remember back then I was looking for a new luthier, and it was either him, Michel Pellerin, which is a guy in Quebec, makes really great stuff too. Michel Pellerin was awesome, but Sheldon, I mean, I could even show you. I don't have the screwdriver for it, but this is a trap, and you can remove this. And usually there's a block of wood here to keep the guitar in place, partly.
Yeah.
This is not, like, this is his design. You can remove this and you can just get in there and do stuff. It looks like a living room there. It's like, the way he builds is so unique. I just had to go with it. Like, I just had to. And, well, I've stored ever since. The guy is, what he does is,
I bought
it's insane. It's insane.
a tone lid recently to make my D28 pretend like I'm in a concert hall.
So do you want?
I
can
just
probably
want
play
you to know
you.
how appreciative
Oh,
I
it's
am
fine.
of doing this.
I mean, I can play with two. I'm not sure if I can land them in one hit. Practiced like never before for this show. I haven't done a show in 10 years. It was very stressful in the world. Plus, we were playing like a trio version of Java Man, which in my mind was heresy. But I still managed to like find little parts to fit on top of the actual track.
I wonder what
Java Man, I mean, Antoine wanted us to play 2 songs for the show, so I picked a Philip Glass song that I arranged, and they wrote tracks on top of me, and then Antoine wanted to do Java Man, because he was learning it for some reason, again, because it's not like we've never played this before, right? And his version was pretty damn solid, so okay, let's do it, And I think, I told the guys, I think it's fucking heresy. Like, what am I gonna write on top of this perfection? Because it's my top 3, it's one of my top 3 tunes from Hedges. It's like very meaningful to me in many, many ways. And it's also a mystery. Like, how do you write a perfect song with chords? Only chords. Because they're all just strummed chords. It's magic. The whole thing is miraculous. But it doesn't need anything new added to it, right? And then,
to have 3 parts.
Yeah, 3 parts of it was like, what am I at? And then he sent it to me, and I sat for a couple of hours over 2 days. I'm like, okay, I think I got something, and I basically just went and added little like textures, little small things, very small pillars at some point, just to add if I could. And I sent this to Antoine and said, dude, I had shivers the whole time. I said, okay, well, I guess it's good. But I still felt weird. Like I didn't feel at ease to add music to. And then the third guy went and he added effects on it, like a little delay, and it worked. Like everything worked. It was just a funny experiment. And that's the kind of things I want today, like That's why I like with Stefano, we can just go on the fly and create stuff and manipulate music in different ways. But like, can we actually get this into, you know, cinema festivals and make money out of this? I don't know. You know, like, can I bank my future, my next 20 years on this or anything? Like, maybe I think it's just time that I accept that music will always be part of me, but it's just not meant to be how
You need to be doing like
pay my rent.
soundtrack or something.
I wish that'd be the ticket.
No, your shit would be great in its soundtrack. I gotta get my battery charger.
It's kind of weird to play in front of a guy that actually had to just ring his doorbell in the middle of the night to play Rick Over's Dream and shit. It's kind of intimidating.
Weird to play what?
Well, like, the man himself rang your doorbell to like play your Rick Over's Dreams and stuff. Like, that's insane. That's insane. Like, I'm not sure if it's kind of intimidating to just play for you after all these years, when I know it is something that happened. Like, the man has played for you his stuff. Like,
he was a sweet, sweet guy. Really, really.
That's what I hear.
Wonderful. So they mean well.
Well, you can hear it on his last album. I mean, Java Man being the last song. There's something there. It's like he found something. I dream about him sometimes. He straight up shows up and he's telling me he's playing these weird instruments, and I can never remember the music, but it's like this awesome, most awesome music. It's like the only contact I can ever get is when I do end up. He's always singing something like a Buddha position or something, like the pictures, you know, like the in the last years of his life.
Oh, so I was listening, the first time I'm listening to the list of your tunes that Jake sent, I hear this bass player. I go, oh man, I know that bass. I know that bass anywhere. It's so signature. And then I heard a tune. I thought had to go over and look at it and see if it was you or Mike, because you covered it too.
The Happy Couple was something unique. It was never my favorite song of his. It was an awesome piece, but I listened to it gazillion times. I remember this one time I was coming back from New York in the winter on the highway, which is from here to New York, like it's just pines. It's just a freaking stretch of pines for 6 hours, nothing. It's boring. It's very boring. Measure was driving, and we always listen to Hedges Cranked Up or Dave Matthews or a lot of things. But that particular night, like 3 a.m. or something, for some reason, a Happy Couple was, Breakfast in the Field was playing, and the Happy Couple, I don't know, it started playing, and I just cranked it up, and it just spoke to me directly, like way more than it ever did before. I knew the song inside out, but at that moment, like, I need to cover that one. I mean, and it's the only one I ever covered. Like, I could do a whole album with just him, but
you haven't played it in a long time. It's not something you could just whip out.
I remember little parts, but it's been too long.
That's fine.
Like if you go, well, there's some in this one, but it's more. It's really, they're not doing the same rhythm. Like left hand is doing something, this guy is doing something else, different measures, different timers, different everything, but they still work together. You can hear the Pink Floyd Years of My Life, and if that's not needle-like or what, I don't know. Just pretend I'm David Gilmour just for this section. No, this is kind of thing you need plug with reverb, to hear it properly.
Right. That sounded beautiful.
That was tempo. I mean, not perfectly played, but that was the main title of my 4th album that nobody knows.
I think the
I was very
first
proud.
tune that came up yesterday on Spotify was Silent Fool, maybe? Is
That's the only Dad Gad tune I ever wrote.
Oh, okay.
It's old. It's very old. I don't think I remember it. I can play you Fearless, which is from the 3rd album. Same tuning, so I always played them together.
I love that.
In the show. Same.
Yeah.
As far as pacing goes, there was no need to retune, which is very annoying live when you have only one guitar. That one is more inspired by Hedges, a hot type, kind of aggressive attitude, more like playing than. I mean, musical content is always important, but not solid anticipation level of what the fuck. Because I remember, I mean, it might have been you shot this, maybe not, because I think it was a video from New Zealand or something. Like the first video I ever saw from Hedges play was back when you had to look for videos online, and it was on Nomadland or Rootwitch, the rootwitch.com. It was like a bad video of like couldn't see much, but it wasn't playing because it's there, some anticipations live. And when I saw this, it was man, this guy for real, like he's playing. It looked like a robot. Like, is this for real? Like, is this sped up or something? It didn't look real. It was just like, I really like the one with Key in the dressing room where he's playing this tiny ass, I don't know what the fuck it is, like tiny ass guitar.
Parlor guitar, I think it's called.
It's so tiny, and they were practicing or something. I was awesome. That one small video made my day back then.
I know.
Okay, so this one's called Fearless. It's about being fearless, which I'm totally not. I'm scared of everything. Hypochondriac on top of it. So I'm scared of dying. I'm scared of illnesses. I'm scared of you name it.
We all are.
This is like a song about being a version of me I don't feel like I can ever be. But it's one of my favorite tunes. This tuning in general is one I made up over the years. It's like my Dad Gad. I always return to this in some form.
Do you only use it for these 2 tunes?
Yes, but there's variations of these for other tunes. It's spawned many other ideas. It's a very good tuning in general. It's just very tension-wise, and the harmonics are interesting. But okay, let's try this. This might suck a little. You'll definitely see some Hedges in the writing. He did. That's where he taught me this, through hot type. I think Rick Over His Dream, he did that a little too. I use my thumb, like a lot of my thumb movements, I think came from learning his stuff, because I do a lot of weird, like bass, like things, and I'm not sure how to put it.
And did you watch him to come up with some of the techniques?
No, back then I still no. There
You
was
just
no
listened.
videos. It was just listening with the tabs and making out like when I Rick Over His Dreams. I was really trying to like, all right, so it's just big chords and you just gotta feel like. I just went for how I felt. I never played them exactly like him. I had to put some of me into it, but not like to make it sound like I don't want to sabotage nothing. I needed to stay like musically intact, But everything that I've ever learned, I always had to go put some of me in there. Otherwise, I don't think it's possible to play anything like anybody else. If it's not your music, it will never sound the same. So might as well change it a little, but a little. Not like when you're the Happy Couple, I changed some small things, but and then some people say, wow, your version's better than him. So you guys are crazy, but I appreciate that. But you guys are nuts, so there's no way. Okay, let's try this. He was a better player in so many.
Oh man!
So
but
many
you're
it's,
doing
it's,
some
it's right
unique things of your own. Believe
oh,
me.
for sure. I have things of my own. I'm that much I know, but his right hand is was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. The way it moved, it was like all independent. Every finger was independent. That's beyond art. I don't know how he did it. The clarity it brings to a player is. They don't use any of that. But I'm not gonna sabotage his music online.
I got the idea. It sounds good. No.
I actually started writing. I mean, I'm almost finished with this. I used the studio to write my latest tune, but it's definitely not finished. You know, I can't even play it properly yet. I can give you an idea if you want.
Yeah.
Pretty much all I can offer you for now.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you.
I mean, this song might never even be recorded. I don't know what's gonna happen to it. I need to finish it first. But.
So we'll have a little glimpse of what it is here.
This is like me currently. You know, this is how I write today, or like I mean, I'm not trying to put it, but this is not old. This is definitely last year or something. I kind of started it, and I had to practice more, and then trying to finish it currently, but. So it's like bits and pieces that I can't play.
I'm grateful just to get to hear what you've shared already.
I don't have a title for this. I don't even know what it means. It's the idea of inspiration. I guess sometimes you just write stuff and you don't know what it is. And eventually, this is what it is. Like it sees in the future. Inspiration is like timeless or something. It just knows. You're inspired for things you haven't even experienced yet. It's weird. I don't know how else to put it. This is one of those, I think. Or maybe it's just about indecision or the fuck do I do with my life at 44 years old or something. Also a very minimal, like this could be a Stefano and I piece, I'm not sure yet. There's room for him.
On the new one.
part I'm working on mainly, and the rest I just can't play it. Like you've just seen, but I have ideas for this. Like maybe just
It's great. I love it.
just chords. I'm not sure. Maybe just go back to. It's like a slow. It's different. I've never done something like that before. I don't know. This just needs work.
Nice.
But the main frame is there. I just need to play it way more. It's always the same problem. Every time I write something, I just can't play it. It needs months. It's always too different from, or just one detail extra that I never did before. Then I have to. Oh my god! I need to. I don't know. I can't do it.
It looks like you're stretching. It's great. It looks like you're not doing something super easy.
Well,
I mean, even you do a little triple play. No, right up on the right in there, and you do this
it doesn't look like much.
A trill or something. What's it called? That.
So this is just a regular thrill. It's just I'm doing it as I'm keeping the just going. So then this is really Hedges like Chava song or something. And that's I stole that from him probably. So this needs to keep going. This is tricky, and then the variation is the same. The distance there, which makes it harder because the position you have to go over like that.
Yeah.
But then I have this the first time through. So this needs to ring, otherwise it's smooth, right? So. And then I have this one too. It's small stuff, but the choice of harmonic is important for the variation, so I want it, This is fine. So going from this to this, I'm gonna have to readjust. Something is not right. I have to release early, or just skip to my other plan. It could be just keep it the same as the first one. It's just small choices, but this is fine. I'd have to change it. Wish I could play it better. play all sorts of ways. I'm
think
still trying things. It's still like
people love to see a tune in transition, in its birth, learning. It's nice that you shared it. Well, that was a great little introduction to Erik Mongrain. I appreciate that.
Hope this is fine with you.
Yeah.
Not my best playing, but I played worse too. So
No.